Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Monday night call. It's not Monday, it's Wednesday. Thanks for joining our Wednesday night call. Carving time out of your evening to be here. I'm really excited to start on, I'm going to do kind of like a mini series, I think. I really like the book that I've been reading, the 21 Irrefutable Laws by John Maxwell. I'm most of the way through this thing, and whoa, it is so full of good stuff. I know many of you are just now starting to build your teams, and like I was saying before we started recording this call, I'm so proud of the growth, even just this month and even in the last couple of months. It's been crazy good. But even though, some of you may not have teams quite yet, this is an awesome book personally to grow from. There's a lot of really great tips just to be absorb as a human. It gives us really great tips on how to function day to day in our interactions with people that we care about or people that we come across in our lives. So we're going to talk about the chapter number 5, that is 5 in Spanish, called The Law of Addition. And again, this book is called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And this guy is very well known for his personal development books, leadership, just things like that. And this is actually my first one that I've ever read, but a pretty solid one for my first one. I definitely recommend you guys pick it up either on a reader, or I like physical, like paper books. I like the smell and the feel and the pages and all of that. So I like physical books, but pick it up however you want. The chapter, again, that we're going to talk about is chapter 5, The Law of Addition. And this is so important whether or not you have your team. Pouring into others in your day-to-day life, in your family life, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your kids, whoever it is, pouring into them and investing in them as human beings is not only beneficial to you, obviously. Well, not just, it's not beneficial. Well, I mean, it is beneficial to you, but it's beneficial for everybody involved. You're pouring into someone that you love or care about at any capacity, whether you are in a relationship, whether you're married, or whether you've just met them 5 minutes ago. Pouring into them at any capacity will get you a zillion times further in that relationship than if you weren't to pour into them. So I'm going to pull up my notes. So I'm sorry if I am glancing down a lot. I'm referring to what's in my phone, and also like the notes in my phone. I'm not reading text or anything weird. And also I have the book in front of me too. The first thing that I loved this, that he included, I did take sign language in high school and college. And one of the signs I remember, and he talked about this in this chapter, was help. And I'm going to try and include my whole hand situation. Obviously it's sign language, so that's how we communicate. But the sign for help in sign language is like this. You put your hand flat, just like this. You put your fist on top and you move it back and forth. When you move it towards yourself, you're asking for help. Can you help me? Or if you're, offering help, you put it towards the other person. So I thought that was very symbolic of pouring into relationships. We want to help people in the way that they understand help, and pouring into people the way that they understand us to, care for them. And we don't know how to do that unless we get to know those people. And really, one of the coolest things I think about this company is the fact that no matter who you talk to at whatever level they are, they always tell you a bunch of stuff, but they always tell you these things pertinent to this call. They always tell you to develop yourself personally, and they always tell you to pour into the people that you work with. And also, not just your team, not your teammates, but the people that you're selling to, essentially. Always putting relationships first. You'll hear Emily Roberts say this constantly. We're not in relationship, or we are in relationship marketing. We're not in network marketing. And just as long as you really internalize that, it is going to get you so far. There are so many network companies out there, you guys. that don't put that first. The level of integrity in that way is so different from what we experience as Plexus ambassadors, because if you talk to Tarl or if you talk to Alec, those are our bigwigs at corporate, our CFO and CEO, if you talk to them, if you hold a conversation with them, or even if you watch a video of theirs, they are always asking how we are. They're always interested in how business is going. They always want to know whether there's anything that they can do differently corporately, because they really care. And it gets them and their company a lot further when they can show us that they care. So with all of that said, as a preface, I wanted to get into kind of the meat and the bones of everything. He goes through different points in this chapter, and the first point that he makes is that we add value to others when we truly value others. Now, how do we do that? We can add value to people in a ton of ways, but people really understand that you care individually, that everybody understands that you care. They receive that message in a different way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like how I'll understand that someone cares, maybe I really like to be complimented, or I really like to get a little gift of thanks or appreciation. Everybody is going to understand it a little bit differently, but how much does it mean if you send a little thank you card? How much does it mean if you send a little, like token of your appreciation when someone joins your team? Or I always send out thank you cards when someone's ordered from me, whether it's retail customer, preferred customer, it doesn't matter. Notes are so, like handwritten note. I'm having trouble speaking, you guys forgive me. But handwritten notes are so few and far in between. Everything's so electronic these days. We text constantly. We exhaust our data on our phones, right? Even though we have like gigabyte upon gigabyte on our phones. But you can't exhaust a handwritten note. No one's ever going to get sick of getting mail. So pop a note in the mail, whether it's a customer, whether it's someone that you sent a sample to a couple months ago. Follow-ups are great to receive when just be different. I guess really what I'm saying. It's really easy to send a text or an email even though that's kind of passé now, but it's really easy to just send something electronic. But if you drop something in the mail, how special is that? Adding value to others, you can also compliment. I love when people walk by my counter at work as an example, and to invite them into a conversation, I always give them a genuine compliment. It's never like cute shoes, and I never mean it. Like I never don't mean it. It's something that I genuinely appreciate about them. If I really like their hair, or, if their makeup looks pretty, or if they really legit have good brows, because you guys know I'm not going to compliment bad brows. But, engage in conversation in a way that they feel valued. You can apply that to your customer base on Facebook. It's very important that we stay engaged with our audience. I am not a very tech savvy person whatsoever, so I'm going to try and not sound like an idiot when I say this, but Facebook has an algorithm in a way that if you don't interact with your entire audience, it will only show you the top amount of people that you do interact with. So going and making a list of people that you are not involved with Plexus is very advantageous. It takes a long time. So just, in your abundance of spare time, I would go in, create a specific list of non-Plexus people. That way you can go and with intention, click on that list of people. That way you can see their news feed. It's very easy to add 6 million different Plexus people and see my feed today. I cannot tell you guys, I don't even think that I saw one non-Plexus person's post. I absolutely have to go and do some cleanup. And that's not saying that I'm going to go and delete a bunch of people, but that is to mean that I have to be intentional about who I interact with. And that goes for your online presence and also your day-to-day presence. Go out of your way to talk to new people. And that's just what network marketing is networking yourself in new and different ways. So that's adding value. That's point number 1 in the law of addition. You guys, this chapter specifically is so chock full of good, meaty information, because it really and truly, and I'll get more into this as we wrap up, but if we don't have good, solid relationships, we won't go anywhere in this business. We can post salesy graphics all day long. We can post, about the products, and we can post about the opportunity for this business. But unless we include our life in like smart ways on Facebook and in real life, and most importantly, we're not going to be a credible source of info, or even not just info. What is the word I'm looking for? Just not credible in general. So point 2, I'm getting more and more articulate as we go. Point 2 is that we add value to others and we make ourselves valuable to others. Now think about that. Let that really sink in. We add value to others when we make ourselves valuable. How do we do that? A million different ways to begin. For those of you who don't have teams built quite yet, that looks like being knowledgeable about the products, studying up on them, knowing, and I don't want you guys to make yourselves crazy here, because the products get really scientific and really crazy really fast. But study your flashcards that come in the success kit for those of you who have gotten the new one. If not, I will straight photocopy some of these cards, and I won't snail mail you some because they are so good. Also, I'm not sure if it's been made available this way, but at convention they announced that they're going to make live on our back offices the new success kit. So all of that information, like all of the product information, will be available in our back office. Really, the most amount of information that you need to know for the products are listed on the labels, or go on the website. It is as easy as that. You guys do not have to be the message. You just have to be the messenger. Just remember that. You do not have to be scientists to know what's going on with these products. You do, though, need to be a product of the product. If you're not using it and not seeing good results, nobody's going to care or believe you. You also need to know the basics. What the probiotic is, what triplex is, what is the main ingredient in Pink Drink. If you guys can't answer those, it's fine, but start researching. Let's have a conversation. I am such a nerd when it comes to ingredients. I love research. I have so many links. I have great analogies. I think why I've been so successful in sales for so long is because I know how to talk to people at the level they understand. So that I can teach to you guys too, and that will only make you guys more valuable to your audiences also, is learning how to speak to your audiences so they understand. The more you are intent, and this is where this fabulous little book comes into play, you guys, but the more intentional you have, the more intentional you are about personally growing yourself, the more you have to offer. Do not ever stop learning about yourself. There are so many ways you can do that. Your life experiences are going to teach you lots about that. But just a simple book about leadership, or I have only started reading pretty recently, Eric Worre's GoPro. That is another excellent book to get into. I have a whole list of stuff. I have a whole stack of books that I haven't even opened yet. But on R&T Rockstars, and I believe I posted it in our files, if you guys go to my team page and go to, I think it's a little eye or like info icon, there's a link that says files. If you go there, there's a whole book reading list. And I recommend you pick up at least one and shoot for reading one every month or every 6 weeks. I know that sounds aggressive, but getting through books like that, especially when they teach you about not just the opportunity and how to, rock the business, but also like how to market yourself, how to be valuable, the things that we're talking about today. So the more you have to offer is gained from your is intentionality a word? I don't know, but it is now. The more intentionally you are about growing personally, the more you'll have to offer people, because you're learning more, you're growing and you're achieving, and people see that, and so they place value with you. And the more you continue to pursue personal growth, the more by the minute you'll have to offer people. Number 3, we add value to others when we know and we can relate to what others value. This comes from asking so many questions, getting to know your audience. Who are you? Who's on your Facebook? Is it a lot of people from high school? Is it people from middle school, elementary school? You clearly have not talked to all of those people in many years. If those are the people that you want to reach out to, start not by asking if they've heard of Plexus, but how they've been doing. The longer it's been between conversations, personal conversations, the further out you should introduce Plexus into the conversation. I will say that until the day I die, because it is so important to make them feel valued before you make them feel like the conversation is just about you getting or gaining something. You add value to others when we can know and relate to what others value. And we find that out by figuring out and asking what their hopes and dreams are. That sounds so corny and cheesy, but so many people don't know what they hope and dream for. I didn't. I learned that at convention. And again, I'm full of cheese tonight, you guys, but I love it. I love this topic. I learned at convention what my dreams were, because I could see and I could feel, I tangibly felt what I wanted for my family long term. And that is a very powerful thing. If you can reach to those people and help them figure out what they're hopeful for, if you can help them figure out what their dreams are, just think about that. Listen to their stories. Asking more than talking less than they do is very important. Asking more questions, engaging them in conversation, become acquainted with their aspirations, inside and outside Plexus. Again, we cannot just be Plexus. There is more to life, surprise, than Plexus. I know each of you from vastly different walks of my life. I met Christina in high school. Megan's my sister-in-law. Rhea, I met you once in person. Steph, I worked with you 1,000 years ago. And, you know, Kelly, if you're on this call still, I met you at church. We hung out for a few summers. Like, you know, just so many different ways. We are people outside of Plexus. We have families. We have jobs. We are stay-at-home parents. We're so different individually. Find out what their aspirations are. That is such a good conversation. And so many times I find as adults we're, hi, how are you? And kind of half of the time we mean it. Take the time to ask these deeper questions and you'll be surprised by the answers. Pay attention to people's emotions. When you make those organized lists on Facebook, you know, kind of troll. I like to troll. I'm kind of a creep that way. But pay attention to how people represent themselves on Facebook. Are they constantly negative? Are they super happy and bubbly? You can learn a lot from them by what they post. And maybe they misrepresent themselves. I know a lot of people do. But that is a great segue into messaging people. Like, if you notice that someone's constantly negative, you can write them and be like, hey, I hope things get better. Is everything okay? That's a great way to reach out to someone that you haven't spoken to in a decade or more. You know, that's an open-ended question. It's not just a yes or no. If you notice that they're so happy, I just wrote this girl that I met on a Marine Corps Wives page eons ago, and she is all the time, constantly doing really cool stuff. And I told her how essentially proud of her I was for doing that and representing herself in that way. Not just representing herself, but like bringing that into her network. So much is so negative, especially lately, you guys. The world is so dark and there's so much dark stuff going on. I had to reach out to her and tell her how appreciative I was of her light. So notice things, be verbal about things that you appreciate, and it will open so many doors. I realize now that we're going on to 25 minutes worth of conversation, so I'll slowly wrap up. But I want to touch on the last couple of things. Number 4 in the chapter that we're talking about is we add value to others when we do things that God values. This is a Christian author. Whether or not you are a Christian is neither here nor there, in my opinion. Whatever you believe, whatever your belief system is, again, neither here nor there. But what it does mean, and this really spoke to me, this is loosely a loose interpretation of a Bible verse, and do not ask me to quote it because I do not know. But people see value in themselves when you communicate that you see value in them a lot of times. And I love this. And it says, I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was homeless and you gave me a room. I was shivering and you gave me clothes. I was sick and you stopped to visit. I was in prison and you came to me. How valuable is that little ditty? Whether or not it's a Bible verse, whether it comes from the Torah, Quran, whatever holy document you read, whatever book you read, it doesn't matter. That's just a really great code to go by as a human being. Just be nice. It goes a long way in today's world. Being a little light for people, being a little beacon of light that people can turn to when things like, recent events feel dark, and that's all we can really concentrate on. Be the little light that people can depend on seeing in your day-to-day life and on Facebook. Be positive. Visit people in prison if you know them. Feed the hungry. It feels great to give someone a meal if you can. You guys are all awesome people. I know you personally at different levels, again, from so many different walks, but I know that you all care deeply about others, or else you wouldn't be here, and we also wouldn't be friends. So you all are great people. And I appreciate every single one of you. I do want to finish up by talking about the very beginning. We're going to end with the beginning of chapter 5 in the 21 Irrefutable Laws by John Maxwell. And I love the story. He is very relatable in his writing. It's very easy to read his stuff. And in the beginning of the chapter, it talks about the CEO of Costco. And I've always heard great things from employees. I grew up in a town very close to a Costco. And that was a lot of where people that I went to high school worked after high school, or even as like a part-time job. And I always heard very positive things. They always, paid really well. They always treated their people really well. They gave them benefits and all of these things. As a teenager, nobody really cared. But now in retrospect, that's huge. Giving an 18-year-old benefits is, especially in this day and age, is huge. But that just goes to show you how valuable the CEO wants to make its employees feel. Another point that I want to touch on too is that the CEO of Costco, his name is Jim Senegal, and he takes home $350,000 as a yearly salary. His office, they said, is folding chairs and tables. What CEO can you imagine that their office looks like that? I don't know many CEOs, but I can't also, of that small percentage, I can't imagine an even smaller percentage of CEOs that have an office that looks like that. That just kind of speaks to what that CEO, what Jim values, and it's not things. It's not money, clearly. That salary that he takes home puts him at the bottom 10% of CEOs in America. That's crazy. CEO, you think of, that they make oodles and oodles of money. I don't think that $350,000 is a small amount of money by any stretch, but I can tell you that many other CEOs of many other companies make much, much, much more than that. He wasn't very well educated. He didn't go to an Ivy League school. I believe he is high school educated, but that's kind of where that stops. But what he wanted to really harness as a vision for his company was the fact that he's a normal person and that he wants his employees to feel that. He goes and visits every store within the year. He wants people to see that he exists and that he's still active in his company. And people love him. You know, when they go to visit him, he knows them by name. He remembers where they started, where they went to college, whatever. He remembers details. So I really think that we can take a lot of value from that story, as poorly as I portrayed it. I definitely encourage you guys to read this book. It is insane. It's made such a difference in my business. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, you guys. We're hitting the 30-minute mark. You guys have been so patient with me and my awkward making up of vocabulary. So you guys are amazing. Thank you all for your hard work day in and day out. I do want to shout out again to Christina Dent. She's one ambassador away from silver. She's been on my team since I got started. It's been like 18 months, right? Or just over a year for you, Christina. And Amanda Dent has been, or Amanda Dent, you're not family. Amanda Clark, sorry if she's still on this call. She got her first ambassador today after being on my team for about a year. So you guys are all doing amazing things, whether or not it's contributing to our growth as a team. Rhea, you are hysterical. I freaking love your videos, man. Keep those coming. If you guys haven't friended her on Facebook, she's one of our newest team members. She's hysterical. You will not regret friending her, following her. Stephanie Holmes, I have to shout you out because, girl, you have impressed me so much lately, being more and more personal and intentional about your posts. If you guys haven't started following her, friended Stephanie, please do. She has such great things to say on her Facebook. Her posts are so on point always. So you guys are doing an incredible job. Keep it up. I'm so proud of every single one of you. And don't forget, next Monday night is Nick and my joint sideline team call. So we'll see each other again then. Thanks again for being here tonight, you guys.